Let's now move on to the next verse. Ath chainam nityajatam nityam va manyase mritam tathapi tvam mahabaho nevam shochitumarhasi. However, if you think this Atma is always born and it always dies, even then, O mighty armed one, you ought not grieve thus. So now that Krishna has spoken a lot about the eternal nature of Atma, he says that let's assume that Atma is not eternal. The self is not eternal. The self is something which is born and it dies. Let's assume that. Even then, Arjun, you have no reason to lament, because then you already know that it is going to die. Right? So even if one does not know about the true, eternal, unchanging self, even then one does not need to grieve for the loss of the body, because its death is inevitable. Again, I would like to remind you that this is not a justification to kill somebody. The intention here is to tell Arjuna that if the death of these people is keeping you from performing your duty, and if you are deluded by their bodies, if you are identifying them as their bodies, then you need to break out of that delusion. And this should not keep you from performing your duty. That is the intention here. The intention is to break Arjuna's delusion. He is deluded. He is considering the body as the reality. He is thinking that Drona is that person, that body standing there. Bhishma is that person, that body standing there. How will I, Arjuna, this body, kill them? So on one level, it's a very justified and a very valid kind of a dilemma. But if you look at from the Paramarthic point of view, then all of these bodies are mithya. And this has to be understood by Arjuna. Only then can he rise up and not be overpowered by the situation. And so Krishna continues with the same line of reasoning, and he says that Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharye arthe natvam shochitumarhasi. For certain is death for the born, and certain is birth for the dead. Therefore, over the inevitable you ought not grieve. Why grieve about the inevitable? What is born will die one day. We all know this. So why grieve over it? He also says that it is certain that what has died will also be reborn. Now this may be less obvious to us. For most of us, if something has died, then it is dead forever. So how is Krishna saying that if something dies, it will inevitably be born again? Well, he's saying this because rebirth was accepted as a reality by most people in those times. Not just the people who believed in the Veda, but also other sections, other philosophers like the Jainas and the Bauddhas also believed in rebirth. It was an accepted fact that the body that we have right now is due to our past karma, our past actions. And the actions of this life will go on to cause a body in future. This was a widely accepted fact. Why was it accepted as a fact? Let us understand this a little bit, and in the process we will also understand the whole cycle of rebirth and how it happens. We see that everybody is different. I am different from you, you are different from your friend, and everybody is different from each other. We are different on the physical level, on the mental level. We have different nature. We have different family, very different circumstances. Someone is poor, someone is rich, someone is healthy, someone is sick. What accounts for this diversity? Now, one answer can be that it is all random and there is no rhyme or reason behind it. But people from the past, from the era of the Gita, believed that it cannot be random. If there is an effect, there must necessarily be a cause for it. And there is an underlying order to everything in the universe. So even in case of the body and an individual's circumstances, there has to be an underlying order. And that underlying order is the law of dharma and the law of karma. When an individual performs an action, then there are results. There is two types of results. There is a seen result, drishtaphala, and an unseen result, adrishtaphala. Drishtaphala is the result which one gets and one can know about it clearly. Like if I suppose give an exam, I get a result. So that is the drishtaphala. You can say that. The adrishtaphala is of two types, punya and papa. We can translate it as, papa can be translated as sin, and so on. But I would request you to prefer to use the words punya and papa only. So if the action is in accordance with the law of dharma, the natural law of justice, then one receives punya. And if it is not in accordance to dharma, then one receives papa. And these punya and papa, the adrishtaphalas, may be received now, may be received in future, may be received in some life hereafter. So, but there is surety that one will experience them no matter what. The law of karma ensures this. That is the job of the law of karma, that one who has performed an action will bear the consequent result at the appropriate time. That is the job of the law of karma. Now, all the adrishta phalas of an individual keep collecting over various lifetimes, and this collection is called sanchit karma phalas. When a particular set of karma phalas from this collection becomes ready to fructify, the sukshma sharira takes on a sthula sharira. The subtle body takes on a physical body of a particular type in a particular time and place, which is conducive for experience of these particular karma phalas. This particular set of karma phalas is called prarabdha. Prarabdha karma phalas. So sanchit is like the total bank account of the individual jiva, and prarabdha is like the amount withdrawn for a particular lifetime to use. During a particular lifetime, one performs new actions and creates new results. These new results are called agami karma phalas, and they go and join the rest of the karma phalas in the sanchita collection. The life of a particular physical body is determined by the prarabdha. Until the time the prarabdha lasts, the body will last. And when it is over, when it is exhausted, the body will fall dead. The next set of karmas will fructify, and next body will be taken up. This is how the cycle keeps going. So this is why Krishna says that if someone dies, he will be reborn, because there are always some pending karma phalas. Unless, of course, you achieve Atma Gyan, you achieve self-knowledge, and then you know that you are neither sthula nor sukshma, you are neither the karta nor the bhokta, you are pure consciousness Atma, and everything else is mithya. When you truly know this, then there is no rebirth. When the sense of doership goes, then all karma phalas come to an end for the particular jiva. Because if there is no karta, if there is no doer, then to whom will the karma phalas accrue? So that is why rebirth does not happen for the jnani person. But all others will be reborn inevitably. All the Kauravas are going to be born again inevitably. Therefore, you should not grieve. Okay. So this is just another way in which Krishna is trying to make Arjuna a little less sad and break out of his condition in which he is. Further, Krishna says, Avyaktadini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyaiva tatra ka paridevana. O descendant of Bharata, all beings, jivas, remain unmanifest in the beginning, they become manifest in the middle, after death they certainly become unmanifest. What lamentation can there be with regard to them? So what he's saying is that if we understand the rebirth process, we will realize that the physical body is merely a manifestation of the past karma phalas. And it is manifest only as long as those karma phalas last. Once they are exhausted, the body also resolves. Right? So the body is manifest only in a way, so to say, in the middle. Before birth, it is unmanifest. After death, it is again unmanifest. What is unmanifest? The karma phalas. Body is nothing but those karma phalas in a way. So those karma phalas are there even before birth in an unmanifest state, and they are there even after death in an unmanifest state. They manifest in the form of the physical body only in the middle. Right? So what is the point of grieving over the loss of such a body? Right? Thus, there remains no reason to grieve for the loss of body. This is what Krishna says regarding the whole sequence in which he is going. And now he will slowly conclude this section of the chapter. He will say, आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवत् चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वापि एनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. One sees this Atma as a wonder, another speaks of it as a wonder, another hears of it as a wonder, yet even having heard does not know it. Now that Krishna is about to conclude this section of his teaching, he talks about the profound subtlety of this knowledge. He has told Arjuna about that eternal reality, which is the truth of everything, which is the true self of all beings. But it is such a subtle knowledge that not everyone is able to understand it. It takes a long, long time for even the most pure and evolved people to grasp it. So Krishna says that when people are told about this absolute reality, they are all amazed. They are all unable to fathom it. People hear about it in amazement and speak about it in amazement, and yet do not really know it. The intention here is to show how subtle the knowledge of this reality is. And that is why it has to be understood very, very clearly. Just by saying, "Oh, Atma is eternal. Oh, Atma is limitless. I have understood Atma." One hasn't. One has to systematically and properly understand each and everything, one has to carefully remove all the doubts and misconceptions and clearly understand the true nature of that reality. Very few can do it. And that is why Krishna is saying this verse. Finally, Krishna concludes by saying, Dehi nityam avadhyo ayam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. O descendant of Bharata, this embodied self pervading everyone's body can never be killed. Therefore, you ought not grieve for all these people. So, a fairly simple verse which is pretty clear if you read the translation. And with this, we come to the end of this section of chapter 2, which is the section of the knowledge of the absolute reality. Krishna has talked at length about the nature of that absolute reality. He has given Arjuna a profound metaphysical understanding of the universe and his true self. And through this knowledge, he has tried to remove his deep-seated delusion, moha, and grief, shoka. Arjuna was overwhelmed by the situation because he considered it as absolutely real. He was feeling weak at the thought of what he had to do and how it would affect him. Krishna has effectively presented him with a completely different perspective on the situation. Neither is the situation real, nor is he really the doer. It is all merely an appearance. He need not take it as absolute reality, and therefore he need not get swayed by the pleasure and pain. He must take refuge in the knowledge of the wise, the Tattvadarshis, who know that reality. In the next section of this chapter, from verses 31 to 38, Krishna will appeal to Arjuna on another level. He will remind him that for a warrior, for a Kshatriya, the duty is to fight for his countrymen, to fight for his justice. That is his dharma, and he should follow it, irrespective of who is across the enemy line. So Krishna will be talking in a more practical and worldly manner, so to say, in the next few verses. We will see that in the next video.